kids. I'm so glad you're here with Grow with Miss Nancy. I am so happy to see you. Do you remember we've been talking about Abraham and what happened in his life and how he trusted in God, and he just knew that God was going to keep his promise, and it was going to be one of those things that he would be so happy about. Well, let's talk a little bit first about how families were back in the old times, in the Bible times, because it's a little bit different now. You see, it was really important to have lots of kids, and it was really, really, really important for the families to stick together because they helped each other, so they didn't move all over the place like we do now. They all tended to live close together, and whoever the father was, he was boss. Whatever he had to say, that's how things went. And so it turned out that that father was having to be really smart about guiding his children and his grandchildren and his great-grandchildren, and his giving a blessing to his children and his grandchildren and any of us, particularly the boys who were born, because they were one day going to be leaders of their families too. That blessing was tremendously, tremendously important. And you'll see in this story how that plays out. Well, we'd been talking about Abraham, if you remember, and Abraham had Isaac when Abraham was 100. Well, Isaac married Rebekah, and Rebekah and Isaac got married, and Isaac, not until he turned 40, did he end up marrying Rebekah. So he didn't just run off and marry Rebekah when he was really, really young. He was 40 years old. And they picked out Rebekah. She was a very special lady. Well, when Rebekah was with Isaac, when Isaac was 60 years old, Rebekah got pregnant. And instead of having just one baby, she was having twins. I think there might be some twins out there that you know about. Well, it turns out with these twins, my goodness sakes, while Rebekah was pregnant, she was having a tough time with these two babies in her tummy because they wanted to kick all the time. And Rebekah asked God, what is going on with these two children? They are just so kicking and wild and crazy in there. And God told Rebekah, these two boys are actually going to be representing two great nations, and that's why they're fussing with each other. Oh my goodness sakes. Well, when it got time for them to be born, Esau was born first. And when he was born first, then here came Jacob, and Jacob was hanging on to the heel of Esau. Well, they thought that was like Jacob being a trickster. So they named him Jacob, which happens to mean trickster or deceiver in their language. Well, because Esau was firstborn, that meant that he was going to get the biggest blessing of all the boys in the family. And he also, because he was firstborn, he would get most of the stuff that the family had, whether it was cattle, sheep, goats, whether it was money, whether it was land, whatever all the goods were, he was going to get the most of it because that's how these families worked. But Esau wasn't really interested in that. He was kind of hairy. He kind of liked to go out and hunt. That was what his great love was. And when he would go out and hunt, he might be gone for a few days. Well, you know, Jacob was more of a stay-at-home kind of guy. He didn't really like going out and hunting and being gone for several days. So he was just kind of hanging around home. And one day when he had cooked a really great stew, here comes Esau. Esau's about to starve. He's been gone this whole time, and he didn't have any wild game to bring with him at that point. And he saw that wonderful stew that Jacob had made, and he said, oh, can I have some of that? And Jacob was being sneaky, and he said, you can have some if you give me your birthright. Well, Esau didn't care that too much about it anyway, and so he said, well, sure, I'll do that. And Jacob gladly gave him some stew. Esau never should have given away the birthright. Never. but he did. And when he said that, that's how it was going to be. No changing things. As they grew older, and their dad, Isaac, got older, he kind of got blind, and he couldn't see very well. And as he was just about to die, he told Esau, Esau, would you go out hunting and get some wild game and cook me a really good meal, and then I will give you the blessing that you deserve being the firstborn. And Esau said, sure, Dad. And he leaves to go off to get some wild game. Rebekah heard that, and she thought, I want Jacob to have that blessing. So she told Jacob, hey, hurry up and cook up a really good meal. I'll help you. Go kill a goat and I'll help you. And we'll cook up a really good meal, and then we're going to serve it to your dad and tell him that you're Esau so you can get the blessing. Well, Jacob says, yeah, but Esau is, he's all hairy and my skin is smooth. Dad will be able to tell the difference. Rebekah says, well, what we're going to do is we're going to kill that goat. We're going to take some of the skin with the hair and we're going to put it on your arms, and we're going to put it on the back of your neck, and we're going to get some of Esau's clothes and put them on you so you smell like Esau, and you'll be hairy like Esau. Your dad will never know the difference. So that's what they did. And when Isaac got the meal, he said, who are you, my son? And he said, I'm Esau. And he said, well, you sure sound like Jacob. Nope, I'm Esau. Well, come here and let me feel you. And he felt him, and he felt that hairy arm, and he said, yeah, you're hairy, so you smell like Esau. Yeah, I guess you're Esau. And he ate that, and he gave the big blessing. So now Jacob has got the firstborn goods. He's got the blessing. Oh boy. He lived up to his name, didn't he? He was definitely the deceiver. So here comes Esau, and he comes in and he fixes that wonderful stew out of his wild game, and he fixes it and brings it in to his dad, and he says, here you go, Dad. Okay, here's the meal, and then I hope you're going to give me the big blessing. And Isaac says, Esau, blessing? I thought I already blessed you. What's going on? And they figured out that Jacob had cheated. Rebekah went and told Jacob, Jacob, you better get out of here. Go visit my uncle, because if you don't get out of here, you may get in big trouble. So Jacob had to run away. You know, sometimes the people around us are not trustworthy. Sometimes when you feel lots of tension and lots of stress, things going on, it makes you feel very uncomfortable, and you wonder who you can trust. But you know what? You could always trust God. No matter what's going on in your life, no matter who's doing what, whether it's in the family or your friends or the neighborhood or even in our country, you can always trust God. God will always be there for you. I hope you remember that, because that's one of the most important things for us to all live by. No matter what happens, I can trust God. Well, I hope you have a good week, and I see you next week. Don't miss, okay? Bye-bye.